I want to talk a bit about how my consumption of watching TV and streaming channels has changed in the last 3 or 4 years and what I think that means. Back in early to mid 2021, I was watching a ton of streaming. So I would watch Netflix, HBO. I subscribed to Amazon Prime and I had subscribed to each one of the premium channels like Paramount Plus and Stars and all these. And I used to just cycle through these because I was watching probably over 6 hours a day easily. And it was because in early 2021, I just felt like my brain was fried by around 6 p.m. And I just couldn't focus. So my brain just needed to rest. And I would just sit there watching these series and dumb movies and you name it, I watched. That was because in 2020, I had a really bad health year. So I'd left myself with an open posterior bite and I'd stopped wearing my appliance for a while. It was very stupid, but I was working a lot and sometimes it's intense when you're recovering. So I had just decided, okay, like I'm gonna stop recovering for a while. And then I just made it a habit and it was very stupid. So I was recovering from that and just was spending so much time vegging every night. All right. That was 2021. So late 21 is when I figured out how this stuff works again. And then like in 22, 23, I was just straight line coming back in 24 as well. And I'm still not done, but hopefully, in some months. And I've improved a lot. So I never tried to reduce my amount of streaming or TV watching. It just happened. But today I would say I watch maybe an hour of usually some mix of YouTube and either Netflix or HBO or something. When I watch, a lot of the YouTube is actually like podcasts. And so it's partially educational. And I'm watching things like My First Million, Lex Friedman. I love, Andrew Schultz and some of the comedians like Joe Rogan, Lenny Rachitsky. These are the different podcasts I watch. And a lot of times I'll just watch them right up until I go to bed. And only for about an hour, right? So I basically reduced how much I watch this stuff from over 6 hours to about an hour. And I generally just work until like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I'm starting at 8 a.m. And I just do that every day. And I don't get tired. And I don't feel this need to zone out at night. Like I just feel motivated. Like I just want to do more productive stuff. And I've given myself more and more stuff to do. So there's almost always something to do. The other thing I want to say is that this has happened before. I've cycled back and forth numerous times in the last 10 years. And I remember there was a time in, I think, late 17, early 18, where I remember I was watching a lot of Netflix and I was just vegging out. We were living in Boston at the time. And then I remember some months later, I was improving. I barely watched any Netflix as I was improving. This has happened a few times, and I feel like it's a pattern, and it's a pattern related to structural improvement because every time I got better, I needed to veg out less, and every time I got worse, I needed to veg out more. When I think about this pattern, I pay attention to the pattern in some others, and I think it explains a lot, right? Like it explains, for example, why Americans watch so much TV and streaming channels now. We probably consume more than any country in the world. I think on average, Americans watch about 5 hours a day. And if you take out all the people that don't watch any or watch very little, you probably easily have over 50% of Americans that are watching 6 to 7 hours of either TV or streaming channels every day, right? Just vegging, like that is over a third of their waking hours of the day. So a third of their non-sleeping time in their life, they're just watching this crap. And I think when I see really healthy people that are, like their story is often always very similar. Like they're watching very little. So when you see very healthy people, very ambitious people, you'll often hear that they either don't watch or they watch very little. And we just think that that's because they're motivated. The question is, why are they so motivated? And that is where I've been on both sides of the fence numerous times. And I feel like this biomechanical stuff is clearly what makes the difference. As the world begins to understand this and we begin to solve for these biomechanics at a mass scale, like people are going to watch less and less of this crap. And, people like to blame Netflix or blame TikTok. I don't think that they're to blame. They're just creating the content that the algorithms essentially tell them to create because people are watching it. You cannot blame them for feeding. It's kind of like, how do you solve the drug problem in America? Like the easier and better way to solve it would be to solve it by killing the demand rather than trying to attack the endless supply, right? And for me, in this case, the supply is less. So the demand is a lot easier to kill because you can just kill your demand for this crappy content by doing these biomechanics. Thanks.